Some say the world should boycott Israel. If you're one of them, you should know this would be a mission impossible in the West. That's because Israeli technology is everywhere. When you get up in the morning, get into your car and drive to work, you probably use Waze to avoid traffic. Waze was developed in Israel. If your eyes stray from the road for a moment, you will promptly be warned by your mobile eye safety system, another Israeli development. Your workday is stressing you out. Your smartwatch will monitor your pulse and remind you to slow things down a little, thanks to an electro-optic sensor developed in Israel. Your laptop most probably runs on a processor developed in Intel, Israel. Do you use the internet? Next time you visit Facebook and Google or use Microsoft products, remember they all use network components developed by Mellanox from Israel. Do you transfer data on memory sticks? That technology was invented in Israel. Those family and friend photos you snap with your mobile camera, the camera was developed in Israel. Enjoy getting help from Google Complete? You guessed right, that too was developed in Israel. And last but not least, next year, Israel Aerospace Industries from Israel and Facebook will launch a satellite that will provide internet connection in remote areas where
Well, the Intel company is mostly known for their cutting-edge computer chips, processors, and servers, but Intel CEOs are hoping to crack another crucial frontier and bring the world into the new era of 5G technology. Well, it turns out that the team behind this revolutionary upgrade is based in Intel's R&D department right here in Israel. This would be a seriously game-changing upgrade, one that has eluded tech companies for years, by the way. Compared with the current 4G standard, a 5G network would see 30 to 50 times faster download speeds. Translation, instead of hours or even minutes, you could download an entire season of your favorite TV show in 4K resolution in mere seconds. And that kind of speed boost would open up a whole new era of possibilities for our digital world. At a time when just about everything is linked to the cloud, a 5G network could rewrite the rules for how scientists develop our phones, our computers, hey, maybe even our cars. The minds at Intel are even thinking one step ahead. Imagine a cloud-based refrigerator that can tell you when you're running low on OJ. The Israeli team at Intel's Holy Land offices are reportedly leading the charge for the jump to 5G. That makes sense given the number of Israeli firms Intel has gobbled up over the years. As of now, Intel is probably the single largest employer of tech jobs in the country, with almost 11,000 Israeli employees to date.
Donald Trump tweeted that he wants 5G and even 6G technology, and we'll get into why he actually truly doesn't want it, because it's not allowed in the community where he spends a lot of his time, as well as some other interesting facts about that. Let's read this tweet here. I want 5G and even 6G technology in the United States as soon as possible. It is far more powerful, faster, and smarter than the current standard. American companies must step up their efforts or get left behind. There is no reason that we should be lagging behind on something that is so obviously the future. I want the United States to win through competition, not by blocking out currently more advanced technologies. We must always be the leader in everything we do, especially when it comes to the very exciting world of technology. Now, 5G is just faster. 5G is just faster. There's no reason that we need 5G. The current system that we have in place, 4G, works completely fine. The whole reason that 5G is being pushed is because 5G is a millimeter weapon system. It's a depopulation weapon that they're putting in place, just like the vaccines and the GMOs and what they spray in the sky. Now, Trump spends a lot of his time in Mar-a-Lago, as we know, in Palm Beach, Florida. But it's interesting that somebody pushing for 5G so much would like to spend much of his time in an area where 5G is exempt. Palm Beach is exempt from the 5G wireless law. Down here, it says, Town Manager Tom Bradford said Tuesday that Palm Beach and some other coastal communities have been exempt from legislation that would limit local control on the installation of 5G transmission equipment. It says below here, we've been carved out, Bradford says. The law does not apply to us. The reason they're not installing 5G in such a community like Palm Beach, an area where Trump spends so much of his time, is because it's a millimeter weapon system. The rate at which 5G hits our body is dangerous. It is a weapon, and I will read and get into that here in a minute from a scientific paper. Another interesting thing to point out is that 5G was invented in Israel by Qualcomm. Israel does not have 5G. This article here by the Times of Israel says, slow down nation. Israel lags on internet speeds, choked by lack of competition. Israel slides to number 70 out of 200 nations surveyed on average download speed, as the duopoly that controls the market drags its feet on fiber optics. So Israel's a nation by Qualcomm that created 5G, and yet they don't even have it installed there. Why would such a nation who's interested in being advanced in the technology and being advanced in the newest, greatest things not implement such a beneficial technology? People need to think about that.
Are you ready for March 27th when ACN joins me on Celebrity Apprentice? It's going to be great. The last time we did Celebrity Apprentice with ACN, it was a highly rated show. It did great. And now we're doing it again. Watch. It will be a historical night for ACN and the Celebrity Apprentice, and it can be one for you too. Tune in with everyone you know to watch as your ACN business is showcased alongside of ACN co-founders and their revolutionary video phone. You'll love it. Promote for the show like never before, and I know it will advance your business in a very big way. Joan, you look beautiful as always. You never change. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you, my darling?
I read a wonderful article about you today, and they really attribute a lot of your recent success to the Celebrity Apprentice and your big victory.
Of course. The whole movie, Joan Rivers, a piece of work. That's the focal turnaround point, which is very interesting.
Well, I hear the movie is fantastic, Joan, and I'm going to go see it. But I really hear it's fantastic. Joan Rivers, a piece of work.
I am so excited about this.
ACN is a great company, Joan, that we both know.
And I am having the best time because we're putting one into Melissa's house so that I can deal now with Melissa and with Cooper every night, really see what he's made in school. He can show it to me.
Well, you know, when we had ACN on Celebrity Apprentice, it was one of our highest rated episodes, and you liked it that night because you also won that night. So we love you, Joan, and we love ACN, and I just want to congratulate you on the movie and the great success that you've had. I'm very proud of you, Joan.
I love you, and you look good, and as always, you have a fabulous tie.
Thank you, darling. You just take care of yourself.
Bye, sweetheart. Goodbye, honey. Is that the cutest? Is that the sweetest? That you can talk to a friend and you can see a friend. I mean, it's wonderful. This is just one. And the nice thing is now, when I get calls from telemarketers, I can moon them.
Now, another interesting point before I get into the dangers of 5G is that Peter Thiel is one of Trump's really technology advisors. He's one of the people who Trump goes to for technology questions. Here's an article by Peter Thiel so you can see what his fruit is. The article is not by Peter Thiel, but it's on him, and it's by Vanity Fair. This came out a few years ago, and it's Peter Thiel wants to inject himself with young people's blood. There we can see the fruit of this man. down below, we see that he is interested in not dying. Here's a quote from him. It says, "I stand against confiscatory taxes, totalitarian collectives, and the ideology of the inevitability of the death of every individual." So that's clearly transhumanism. It's clearly the old belief system discussing ritualistic acts of using the young to prolong their lifespan, as well as people do it for power in ritualistic ceremonies. But down here as well, it says, on Bloomberg TV in 2014, Thiel explained that he was taking human growth hormone pills as part of his plan to live 120 years. Quote, "It helps maintain muscle mass, so you're much less likely to get bone injuries and arthritis," he said. And yet no one seems to ask where they're getting the blood from these young people. Absolutely disgusting. It's a satanic, evil practice. The use of using children for their blood and for their adrenaline and for ritualistic purposes is involved in the satanic elites of the world. And this is somebody who is a technology advisor to Trump. Absolutely disgusting. Now here, this is kind of long, but this information is extremely important. There's a reason why 5G videos are now suppressed. If you look at the views that 5G videos used to get when this information first became popular, in comparison to the views that they get now, they're heavily suppressed. YouTube suppresses certain topics. As well, I just saw an article today that all the anti-vaxxer videos on YouTube are going to be demonetized. So certain videos are completely suppressed. I see this in my channel a lot. A few of my videos on the government shutdown just get tons of views out of nowhere. They're getting views and views and views. And then the second they hit around 70,000, they're just totally cut off. YouTube monitors what videos are getting. They definitely have a system for videos that are getting lots of views, and then someone goes in and they can cut videos off. They totally do. They absolutely do. And there's a reason why the 5G videos have been being suppressed ever since this information started to become more popular. And it's because it's a weapon. So now I'm going to read this showing its harm. This is from Scientist 5G Appeal. And I will leave these links in the description. 5G will substantially increase exposure to radio frequency electromagnetic fields, RF EMF, on top of the 2G, 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi, etc. for telecommunications already in place. RF EMF has been proven to be harmful to humans and the environment. Harmful effects of RF EMF exposure are already proven. More than 230 scientists from 41 countries have expressed their serious concerns regarding the ubiquitous and increasing exposure to EMF generated by electric and wireless devices already before the additional 5G rollout. They refer to the fact that numerous recent scientific publications have shown that EMF affects living organisms at levels well below most international and national guidelines. Effects include increased cancer risk, cellular stress, increase in harmful free radicals, genetic damages, structural and functional changes of the reproductive system, learning and memory deficits, neurological disorders, and negative impacts on general well-being in humans. Damage goes well beyond the human race, as there's growing evidence of harmful effects on both plants and animals. After the scientist's appeal was written in 2015, additional research has convincingly confirmed serious health risks from RF EMF fields from wireless technology. The world's largest study, $250 million National Toxicology Program, NTP, shows statistically significant increase in the incidence of brain and heart cancer in animals exposed to EMF below the ICNIRP, International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection guidelines, followed by most countries. These results support results in human epidemiological studies on RF radiation and brain tumor risk. A large number of peer-reviewed scientific reports demonstrate harm to human health from EMFs. Just two more short paragraphs here, but this is extremely important. This is harmful to our health. These EMF waves that we are going to be exposed to is harmful and has been proven to be harmful. People should not be accepting 5G. People need to stand up against 5G. It's a weapons system. It's harmful to our health. It's well known. It's completely accepted and known if you research the matter out. But all the mainstream articles will be pushing the fact that it's not harmful, Yet Trump, who wants to push for 5G and even 6G, it's not even allowed in one of the places that he likes to hang out the most. Why do you think that is? Why is it not allowed in Israel, where it was created? There are reasons to this stuff. People need to look deeper into the matter and figure out the reason why this is. There's a reason for this. Don't believe the known liars that try to tell you stuff on TV that this stuff is fine. Yes, your phone, as if your phone isn't fast enough already. So, the next two paragraphs. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, the cancer agency of the World Health Organization, who just said that people who don't take vaccines are a global threat, in 2011 concluded that EMFs of frequencies 30 kilohertz to 300 gigahertz are possibly carcinogenic, can cause cancer, to humans, group 2B. However, new studies like the NTP study mentioned above and several epidemiological investigations, including the latest studies on mobile phone use and brain cancer risks, confirm that RF EMF radiation is carcinogenic to humans, can cause cancer. The Europa EMF Guideline 2016 states that there is strong evidence that long-term exposure to certain EMFs is a risk factor for diseases such as certain cancers, Alzheimer's disease, and male infertility as well as female. Common EHS electromagnetic hypersensitivity symptoms includes headache, concentration difficulties, sleep problems, depression, lack of energy, fatigue, and flu-like symptoms. So studies have been done. It's well known that these EMF frequencies are harmful to people's health. One just has to sit back and realize that if they know that this stuff is harmful, why is it being implemented? Why is Trump pushing for 5G and even 6G, yet the area that he likes to hang out in Palm Beach, it's not allowed there? There's reasons for this stuff. The people in power, they don't care about us. They want our money and they want to control us. That's the bottom line in every single thing that they do. Why would people would think that, oh, the 5G is not a problem, it's not a health risk? Yet look at the GMOs that they put on the food. Sodium fluoride, which is a poison, is put in the water. Aluminum in the air. Every single thing that we are exposed to and that is brought into us is a poison. Why do you think soda is so cheap? A 2-liter of soda is practically the same price of a normal bottle of water at the store. Why do you think that is? They sell 2 liters of Coke for $1. 2 liters of Pepsi for $1. You can't even buy a normal, 16-ounce bottle of water for $1. Why do you think that is? And yet water comes out of the sky and they have to make stuff with Coke. Everything else is inflated over time, yet soda has remained extremely cheap. It's because it's a poison. These things are weapons. And on a really quick side note about that, just because I brought it up, I used to drink a lot of soda. I really liked soda, and I guess you could say addicted to it, but I enjoyed soda and I drank it a lot. There's something called kombucha that is out there. It's carbonated, it tastes great, it's got natural stuff in it, nothing bad about it. So if you drink soda and you want to get off, look in the store for kombucha. It's more expensive because, well, like I mentioned, there's a reason why the soda is so cheap, but you can quit drinking soda with kombucha. So these 5G millimeter waves, the EMF, electromagnetic field frequencies that we're being exposed to, has been proven to be carcinogenic and to impair people's fertility. This stuff is dangerous, this stuff is a weapon, and people need to fight and talk out against this. They need to go to their city councils. When these things are trying to be implemented, people need to stand up. If people stood up against this stuff, went to their city councils, tons of people actually got together for this instead of a women's march that has nothing to do with anything, but actually came together and went into somewhere and tried to stop a 5G system where we're being poisoned with carcinogenic electromagnetic fields, then they would have to stop and roll back. It just happened in Britain and it happened in Hawaii too. So there's things you can do. People need to get more involved in their communities and in their local systems. If people pushed back, they wouldn't implement it, but people are just so asleep. They want to download their videos way faster. They can't download their Keeping Up with the Kim Kardashians in 5 seconds. They want to download it in 2 seconds now. That's absolutely ridiculous when these waves are proven to be carcinogenic and to impair fertility in people. And if you're one of the lucky ones who doesn't get cancer or Alzheimer's or fertile through these waves, you can enjoy headaches, difficulty concentrating, sleep problems, depression, lack of energy, fatigue, and flu-like symptoms. I mean, it's just ridiculous. People need to get more involved, and we need to speak out against this stuff and try to push back against it, because it's not cool that we're being hit with these millimeter wave weapons that can cause cancer and all these negative things. It's important to stand up against this stuff, obviously in peaceful manners, always doing it through however you can in a peaceful, obviously legal matter. But these things we need to try to stand up and fight these things because they are weapon systems against us. And I don't know. We just need to try to stand up against this stuff and try to get it prevented, because it's dangerous to our health and people need to care more about this stuff. So just ridiculous. Trump pushing for 5G when he doesn't even allow it in his own, when it's not even allowed in his own community. It's just on top of everything else. Absolutely crazy. Seek Jesus Christ. He is the way, the truth, and the life. He will open your eyes to the things going on in the world. And if you have the peace of Jesus, and you have peace and protection from what we are facing and heading right in towards. But I really think it's important that we speak out against this and try in our local communities to stand up against this and to fight back from it, so people and the younger generation and everybody isn't poisoned on top of what we're already poisoned with. Thanks for watching. God bless. Martial law coming to America. I've been seeing rumors of this floating around on the internet, and it's a very crucial and important topic that I believe definitely needs to be talked about, because it's something that I believe is an inevitable truth based off Bible prophecy, and it's something that everybody should be preparing for and getting themselves and their families ready for. Not only is it mentioned in Bible prophecy, but we have leaked documents and leaked sources from inside the military and federal agencies, people who have leaked stuff in the past, and documents that have been released that show the dangers and the possibility of martial law coming. And it is a very important topic. First, I'm going to read you something off of the Dave Hodges, The Common Sense Show website, thecommonsenseshow.com. It was a letter he received from somebody in the military, and I'm going to read you what part of this letter says. A few sentences in, it says, "We are frequently engaged in urban warfare exercises, but this is not in the Middle East we are training for. There is no question that we are training for military activities on American soil. We have practiced arresting high-profile people. We've also trained to apprehend drug dealers in fortified crack houses. This is something that we have never had to do before and marks a change in a training regimen. My unit just practiced an extraction in the in the midst of civil unrest. All of my unit is confident that we are talking about training for action in America and in an urban setting which is usually marked by civil unrest. But we are not concerned with the unrest as it is left to supporting units to contain the trouble." And the last sentence in that letter posted says that we are concerned for our families and how they could be affected by this. Now, this is a crucial thing to be aware of, especially if you're a Bible-believing Christian. We know in Revelation 13:16 through 17, says he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark in their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one can buy or sell except the one that has the mark of the name of the beast, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name, that number 666. So when the tribulation begins and the Antichrist comes on the scene and the mark of the beast is forced upon the people, if you do not have that, we know that no one's going to be allowed to buy or sell. This will cause people to go into prison. This will cause people to be killed. This is all Bible prophecy that we know of. Not only that, but we have leaked documents and we have released documents. Documents such as Rex 84, which is short for Readiness Exercise 1984. It was a classified scenario and a drill developed by the United States and the federal government in which they would detain large numbers of U.S. citizens who are determined to be national threats. Anybody who is a dissident, a political activist, going against the status quo, then these people would be detained, rounded up, and they would also be put into what we have also learned from a leaked document, re-education camps. Re-education camps in America. The document is entitled FM 3-3940, Internment and Resettlement Operations. The document discloses that the Army, and they're prepared to round up and take political activists and put them into re-education camps, where people who have political beliefs or any sort of belief system that goes against what is deemed acceptable by the state, and they will be taught and re-educated to agree with and support U.S. policies. So these are the kinds of things that we already know that have been known. Some of this stuff is old. When the re-education stuff came out, that was in 2012. Back in 2013 through like 2015, I remember the martial law thing was very popular on YouTube. That was when a lot of stuff was breaking. That's when prepping was becoming pretty popular. They had doomsday preppers on TV and everything, and that's when all of that was kind of going on, and a pretty popular thing on YouTube and on these websites. That's kind of dropped off in the past few years, and this is a good time really to be aware of what could come down the pike and what eventually will, and that people really should be preparing themselves and their families for these events that are going to happen. Especially if you are a Bible-believing Christian or somebody who, if you're probably watching this video, likes to think outside of what is normally deemed acceptable by the mainstream media and the people who run them. Those are the type of people that they would be putting in re-education camps, and the type of people who I would hope and pray to God would deny the mark of the beast whenever it comes on the scene. And that's a time when you won't be buying or selling. So, I mean, unless you plan on stealing all your food for the 7-year tribulation, I highly recommend that people start to think about these events that will be coming down the line. It's a very important thing to be aware of.
Hi folks, this is Tony for aminutemidnight.com. Just a very quick update. I don't know how many of you are aware that every year there is what is called the World Government Summit. I did actually report on it last year. This year it was held between the 10th and the 12th of February. And basically what it is, well, this is on the World Government Summit website. The World Government Summit is a global platform dedicated to shaping the future of governments worldwide. Each year the summit sets the agenda for the next generation of governments, focusing on how they can harness innovation and technology to solve universal challenges facing humanity. And you can see further down here, they deal with everything to do with dialogue for happiness and well-being and global AI governance forum. The World Government Summit will host a second global AI governance forum in recognition of the rapidly evolving artificial intelligence technology, and so on. The World Government Summit is held in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. It's annual and it hosts over 4,000 participants and many speakers from 150 different countries. I won't go into all the speakers, but of note, besides a lot of Islamic ones, you have Christine Lagarde, the head of the IMF, for example, and also celebrities like Harrison Ford. And it claims to be the only global organisation dedicated to shaping the future of governments and setting the agenda for the next generation of governments worldwide. Now, something that's particularly notable this year, this is an article by Michael Snyder. It starts off saying, after signing one world religious covenant, Pope Francis makes his next push. Just days after the Pope signed the most important interfaith document in history, which we'll have a look at in a minute, he had the opportunity to address the global political leaders by video at the World Government Summit in Dubai. During his remarks, he once again stressed the need for global unity, and he encouraged those attending to embrace sustainable development. But he also stressed that sustainable development will never succeed without solidarity.
Lo sviluppo dell'economia, la tutela dell'ambiente, l'impiego delle tecnologie. Vi auguro.
Pope Francis is certainly not the vicar of Christ, that's for sure. He's far more interested in promoting social programs and Marxism than spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. The book of Revelation certainly tells us that we are heading for a world government, and Pope Francis is doing his bit to push us towards it. And it's also interesting to note that according to this article in Prophecy in the News from January 15th, the Pope told an Italian newspaper La Repubblica that the United States of America has a distorted vision of the world and Americans must be ruled by a world government as soon as possible for their own good. And as I mentioned just before about the blend between the Pope and Catholicism and Islam, well, potentially Christianity and all of them together lumped into a one world government in the future, the Pope or one world religion in the future. The Pope and Islam's most important imam just signed a covenant that pushes us much closer to a one world religion, says Michael Snyder from February the 6th, 2019 in the Most Important News. A historic interfaith covenant was signed in the Middle East on Monday, and the mainstream media in the United States has been almost entirely silent about it. Sheikh Ahmed al-Tayeb is considered to be the most important imam in Sunni Islam, and he arrived at the signing ceremony in Abu Dhabi with Pope Francis hand in hand in a symbol of interfaith brotherhood. But this wasn't just a ceremony for Catholics and Muslims. According to a British news source, the signing of this covenant was done in front of a global audience of religious leaders from Christianity, Islam, Judaism and other faiths. In other words, he says there was a concerted effort to make sure that all of the religions of the world were represented at this gathering. And according to the official Vatican website, a tremendous amount of preparation went into the drafting of this document, and it encourages believers from all religions to shake hands, embrace one another, kiss one another, and even pray with one another. Well, a true Christian cannot pray to another God. I'm sorry. Pope Francis is showing us his true nature and pushing us to a world government and a world religion. Shows us that either he is an ignoramus or, more likely, a deliberate player in pushing us towards the beast system that the Book of Revelation and Book of Daniel and others talks about. Also, let's not forget back in July 2018, Jerusalem belongs to all religions, says Pope Francis, according to Egypt Today. All the governments around the world should find a solution to the Jerusalem issue, supporting the two-state solution to settle the conflict between Israel and Palestine, Pope Francis said Sunday in Bari, Italy. Pope Francis also expressed his rejection to the US decision to recognise Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Once again, the Pope is showing that he is a fake vicar of Christ and not spreading the gospel, but spreading things which the Bible clearly tells us not to do. If he were in fact a true vicar of Christ, he would know Zechariah 12:3, for example, says that in that day I'll make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. That's the King James Bible. And also, for example, Joel chapter 3 verse 2, it tells us what happens to the nations that divide up the land. And Pope Francis claims to be the successor, as all popes, the successor to St. Peter. Well, if he was a true successor to St. Peter, he would preach the same gospel that Peter preached, such as in Acts 4 verse 12, Peter himself saying, "Neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved." That's talking, of course, about the name of Jesus Christ. And yet this current fake successor to St. Peter is telling people to pray to other gods and people of other faiths. So where is that salvation and no other in Pope Francis's false gospel? I just want to very quickly finish by addressing issues that have come up in videos of supposedly Pope Francis being stripped of power and replaced by 3 other cardinals running the Vatican, and that Pope Francis has had children, illicit children, and they've been sacrificed in human sacrifices at the Vatican and so on. I mean, stories like that are very difficult to prove or disprove, and I suggest don't be distracted too much by them, because you can guarantee that if Pope Francis were to be removed by the undercurrent in the Vatican, that he will not be replaced by anybody any better. He is currently doing an excellent job of promoting the world government and the one world religion. I can't see what they would gain by removing him, unless they are wanting someone that's going to push it even harder and faster than what he is. So don't be too distracted by it, would be my thinking. I can't, like I say, either prove or disprove those stories myself. But keep your focus on God first and foremost. Make sure you have salvation in Jesus Christ, and then don't be distracted by some of the...
A crackdown has begun in Zimbabwe amid violent protests over the government's doubling fuel prices. Officials say police have arrested more than 600 people. In the capital city, Harare, they also seized an activist pastor at his home today. He's accused of inciting public violence through social media. The fuel price hike adds to an economic crisis that includes unemployment above 80%.
A warm welcome back to GMT with me, Stephen Sackur. The authorities in Zimbabwe have again cut off internet services 4 days after the start of violent protests over fuel price hikes. The country's largest mobile operator, Econet, says it has been ordered to shut down services until further notice, though the order is being challenged in court. A similar blackout earlier in the week was aimed at blocking images of the Zimbabwean security forces' heavy-handed actions against demonstrators. At least 3 people have been killed and dozens injured. Well, joining me now from Johannesburg is BBC correspondent Pumza Filani. Pumza, I know you're following developments very closely in Zimbabwe. This decision to shut down the internet again suggests that the government remains deeply anxious about the state of public opinion and about dissent in Zimbabwe.
That's right, Stephen. It's widely seen. This latest move by the government is seen as a way of censoring the information that comes out of Zimbabwe about what is actually happening on the ground. Now, the internet, just in the past week where we've seen these protests, was widely used by people who were in the country through social media to get the word out. They were posting photographs of police intimidation, and they were posting images of the protests themselves as a way of garnering support across the continent, not just in Zimbabwe, but across the continent and the world, to show the world what was actually happening there. So this latest move is seen by human rights groups as an attempt to make sure that no information or very little information goes out of Zimbabwe about the situation there.